Hey guys, well, in about 15 minutes or so, I am going to set off to my local cinema and I'm going to go and see the Inbetweeners movie, which I've been looking forward to for a long time. And then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to give you my personal review of the film. Okay, so I'll see you in about 2 or 3 hours. Bye! Well, I just got back and yeah, it was good. It wasn't an absolute masterpiece. It wasn't outstanding in any kind of way. There was nothing truly incredible or amazing about it. There was nothing really that was sort of unexpected about it or anything like that. But you know, it's a comedy. I don't think you can expect anything particularly major. But it was good. Basic plot is essentially just an hour and a half long episode of the TV show, essentially. So if you've seen the TV show and you like the TV show, you'll definitely like this. Some people might have a problem with that, saying, you know, why make an hour and a half long episode of the show? Why not just make an episode of the show? Shouldn't a movie be something bigger? But actually, I take the complete opposite attitude. I actually think when it comes to turning TV series into movies, it should just be an extended episode of the show. It shouldn't try to be anything bigger. It shouldn't try to be anything different from what is basically the reason why people watch the show. The Mr. Bean film, I think, made that mistake. It had a lot of dialogue in it. It had very much a sort of a serious conflict in Mr. Bean's life that he had to rectify and try and deal with, which is not what Mr. Bean was about at all. This film doesn't do that. It's just an extended episode of the show. You just basically take the four guys and you put them in Greece, and it's just the show, essentially, aside from that. The plot to the film is basically kind of a rehash of Kevin and Perry Go Large, mixed with a little bit of American Pie, so it's not massively original. Essentially, I'm not massively bothered about the plot. There were a few things about the plot that kind of bugged me, which I'll get to in a minute. But essentially, yes, this absolutely made me laugh just as much as the show does. In fact, in many places, perhaps it made me laugh a little bit more. You've got all the classic sort of traits. You've got Simon's sort of irrational behaviour sometimes when he's put under pressure or not entirely sure what to do. You've got Will desperately trying to make sense of the situation, but also behaving like a bit of a prick when women are around and he's trying to get with them. You've got Jay's one-liners, and you've got Neil's stupidity. One kind of cliched thing which I wasn't too keen on is about two-thirds of the way through the film, Jay and Neil and Simon and Will sort of go separate ways because they've fallen out, and then of course abruptly they get back together at the end of the film. That was kind of cliched, I thought. I wasn't too keen on that. Essentially, they're all sort of trying to get with these sort of various women that they sort of hook up with at a sort of early stage of their holiday. Again, that's kind of American Pie. That felt like a bit too much of a rehash of American Pie. I wasn't too keen on that. There's also a joke in here where Will badmouth someone without realising who it is that he's badmouthing, and it turns out they're disabled. That's recycled directly from a joke from the show, from the first series, so I'm recycling a joke there. I didn't really like that. There's also a moment where Jay nearly kills a small boy. I thought that was going a bit too far. So there's the odd moment here and there that I wasn't too keen on. The ending is pretty predictable, but again, it's a comedy. You kind of expect things like that. The only sort of major thing really that kind of bugs me about the plot to this film, I think, is the fact that Carly plays quite a large role in this film. The thing I really like about The Inbetweeners is the fact it sort of follows a similar format to Friends, in that it's this tight group of lads. They're all sort of equally friends with one another, and they're not friends with anyone else. It's just them four, and nobody else is really important. They're just sort of side characters that come and go. Then they have Carly sort of play quite a major role in this film, and she sort of becomes a sort of sub-main character, if you like. I didn't like that. I would have preferred it just to have been the four guys. I mean, why else would you put them in Greece rather than have them in the familiar environment of being at school? Put them in Greece so we know it is just the four of them going off and doing whatever. Why have Carly in there as well? I didn't like that. I would have preferred it to have just been the four guys. They actually kind of make fun of that in one of the episodes of the show where Jay has this sort of friend that is just his friend. It's sort of a member outside the group. And they all sort of make fun of him. It seems so bizarre that he would have another friend that isn't like part of their little group, which of course, in reality, of course, is completely normal. And then they sort of make fun of that idea, and then they actually do it in the film by having Carly play quite a major role. And actually, at the end, she actually does something a little sort of evil or devilish to sort of annoy Simon almost. That felt a bit out of character for Carly. I thought I didn't really like that either. So that's probably the only major thing about the film I didn't like, the way that Carly plays quite a major role. Other than that, it made me laugh. It's not a massively original film in terms of plot, but it's a comedy. It's just there to make you laugh. The only major thing really that is kind of disappointing is the fact that this is most likely the end of the Inbetweeners. If you've never seen the Inbetweeners, I highly recommend it, by the way. But if you feel like going to see this film without having seen the show, don't worry. You don't really need to have seen the show in order to get this film. There's basically a sort of quick introduction to the four main characters at the start of the film, so you're not going to be lost. You won't feel like you've missed anything. Overall, I'd say this film is probably a 4-star out of 5 film. It's just barely getting onto 4, so right on the cusp between maybe 3.5 and 4, or let's say it's just on the cusp of 8 out of 10 and 7 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10 if you want to be really precise. 75% maybe, if it were on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, 75% on Rotten Tomatoes would sound about right to me. So yeah, it was good. See ya.